Hey, Stephen. Think you are on mute.
Hey, Mackie.
Hey, how are you? How's everything?
Good. I don't know if there's a call today. My calendar is mixed up, or I'm mixed up. It says the regular call, but I think maybe we had a call Monday that I missed, so I'm a bit off.
Yeah, actually, the Monday one, you mean the chairs meeting?
Yeah,
Yeah, I haven't got the updated invite. I think there wasn't one, I guess. So, I just had the, touch point with the one we already had that included you, Winjing, and others like as well, Scott. Um,
right.
So I'm not sure. Like, is it bi-weekly now or still? Uh,
Yeah, the regular ecosystem governance group is usually bi-weekly, but I see Carly connecting.
yeah. Hi, Carly.
Hi there. Yeah,
Hey,
All
Carly.
right.
Hi, Eric. Is this like a regular scheduled ecosystem governance, or I'm so
th-
mixed up?
this is, oh, Eric, you're on mute.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's supposed to be a presentation.
It was supposed to be a
About some.
presentation, but they didn't finish their stuff because they had shifted priorities. So,
Okay.
so that's why on the thing there is, but yeah, I'm sorry I missed the meeting on Monday. It was a holiday and we were doing family stuff. And just that, yeah, I what I'm doing right now is I'm going into other meetings and having lots of other meetings in order to get these technical specifications through, coming up with a process and communicating that, the licensing and the DOI identifiers and the GitHub and yeah, anyway. So I have not thought much about ecosystem because I've been spending a lot of time on that.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you guys met on Monday. What did
No,
you talk
actually, not all of us. So
No, I
Scott
missed that
Scott
one
was
too.
able to make it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I
Who
think
was it?
Stephen.
Who was there? Sorry.
It was supposed to be all of us, but like Wenjing, I think he tried accessing in the second half of the call, and but Scott, like really went through until half of the call. So we had some discussions in terms of, like really what he's looking at, like in terms of the next steps. So he's, like trying to I would say, convey that we already have some guidance to start with, which I think is really good. So the governance metadata document, for instance. So I think we do have a lot of good stuff that we can leverage. So maybe I can also, walk you through those documents. I'm sure you might have seen it before, but at least, for us to align whether those are good entry points.
Okay. And the next meeting is realized. They are on March 5th.
Right.
So I can prepare the LinkedIn and all that stuff. I will do that
Okay.
tomorrow.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was
Who's the
yeah,
speaker?
yeah, they're gonna speak in 2 weeks. So I've talked to them twice. They were supposed to send if you uh Carly, I'll do that. I'll do that so I can take that off your plate because I've spoken to them
Okay.
twice and they were supposed to send me their presentation just to give us a little bit of a heads up so we can
They did fill out. So here is the link to that's our spreadsheet. And this is our planning spreadsheet, just FYI. So they did fill it out. And
yes.
then and then everything you probably don't have permission to add it to Linux Foundation LinkedIn, but I do.
Okay. So I'll prepare it and then you can send that
And then
off.
I'll set that off. And for all 10 of our followers on Blue Sky.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to be at the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona and on that day and well, that week. And so I think actually I'll be on a train when they start. So I don't know if I'll even be able to help introduce them or whatever. Let me see. Yeah. So yeah, I'll be on a train, right? It'll be right in the middle of my journey. So I'll just
Good.
I'll dial in. I'll try to dial in if we've got reception on the train.
Okay. And I sent you it's the poster information is on the LinkedIn in comms committee
Yeah.
LinkedIn, and then you can just
Yeah.
copy what's been done.
And then we've got two. So the next three realize, and then we've got open verifiable communications, which is a really interesting project on the 19th that will present work happening there. That's using some carry. It's using the guys from Provenant, and it's doing branded telecommunications. So giving credentials to a brand so that when a brand calls you or a company calls you, it could be your doctor, and it shows that your doctor's logo, so you know it's not a spam call. That will be on the 19th, and I'm trying to get Telefonica and Doc, the guys from Doc, on April 2nd, and they're going to show using a digital wallet credential to prove who you are when you call into sort of customer services. You can share your credential, and that's your authentication.
That's cool. Yeah, and then you can send them the link to fill out the info so we can generate
Yeah.
the speaker stuff.
Yeah. So, and then that'll bring us to, and then we need to figure out what the 16th is, and then we've got a break for IIW.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, when is DICE? Who's going to DICE? Anyone going to DICE?
No idea. And then Drummond's put a message in this chat. What kind of license should our specifications be again?
That's me.
Oh, Drummond.
Yeah, each working group has its license on the home page in the working group. And if they don't, where do they get it?
So just quick, I'm having to multitask in this meeting. So
Yeah.
it's when the working group is chartered, it has to pick its licensing, all three kinds. And so we just put it on, it's at the bottom of the homepage for every working group. You'll find the licensing choices. We just make it a standard part of the homepage. So if Daryl's asking about that, it's at on the Trust Ready Task Force homepage.
Okay. But or he's a task force, so or would he go up to technology?
I'm sorry, yes, that would be you go up to Technical Stack Working Group homepage. You're right. He's a task force, so it's Technical Stack Working Group homepage.
Okay.
Yeah, which means it's a Creative Commons 4.0. This is all stuff we want to build into the template when we get to that, but we're not right now. The volunteers do that work are not going to be able to do it until after the Linux Foundation Member Summit next week.
Yeah, and I'm working on the other draft stuff. Okay, thank you for letting me take over to ask that question. Okay. I don't know if it's Apache 2 or MIT. I'd have to go to the Confluence site. Yeah, so Mackie, Eric, Stephen, did you have an idea for this meeting? Other things that we wanted to accomplish today?
Today's meeting, I think there's no set agenda for this one. You mean this one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think more or less it's really trying to, get deeper in terms of how we would, start executing the strategy. So
Yep.
we had a conversation, Eric, Steven, and I, like a few weeks back. So we said, why not reach out to Wenjing and see how we can advance the TSP protocol. So so I think that one is like our starting point, maybe. So as of now, I'm seeing also that TRQP is almost out. So I think we might shift our strategy in case we can't find like alignment with Wenjing, because I think at this stage we need clarity, as especially that we have two protocols in almost done, like the carry ACDC, and we have the TRQP. So if we can shift our strategy to look into those and then come back to the TSP, because like also the AIML is working in terms of like how it would be augmented through AI. So there's a lot of work in progress. So the most ready, I would say, are carry ACDC and the TRQP at this stage. So, but maybe we can give it a week or so, like for Winjing to, like align. So in case if he's interested to start, we can do that. Otherwise, I think we do have those two as immediate next priorities.
Yeah. He's probably going to need more than a week because I know that this week he's busy, right, at the Human Agency conference, and then we're off the following week, and then we got presentation the week after. So it might be something we do async. Is that what you're thinking, Mackie?
Yeah, yeah, no, I think like we do have like I think also in today's call, like Dara was asking about what kind of like feedback we would want to give him. I think he needs support, at least from our side. We can ensure that the governance piece is in there. We can see how we can support him with outreach activities. I think this is going to be a big, I would say, achievement. At least he's been working on it for some time now. So so I think, yeah, we can give him hands in case needed.
I'm quite interested because I know that they keep asking about why trust spanning. Why do we need trust spanning when DIDCOM is already there? There's constantly comments about it and why it is different and stuff like that. So, and I haven't seen it. It's all very technical, the explanations, and it'd be interesting to see it more clearly outlined. That would be cool. And also, I was just thinking, have you seen that the big kerfuffle about Discord and age verification? So
Yeah.
so we're now on Discord, and Discord is complying with the age verification requirements. So now they've been requesting that you have to do like a photo submission in order to do age verification on Discord. That's the announcement. And it wasn't clear if it was required or not required, if it depended on what kind of stuff you wanted to access. And the company that does Palantir is also related to the company that's doing the age verification for Discord. So there's that extra goodness.
But wait, where's this information coming from? Did you get this?
In news articles.
But I mean, because we're all in Discord, have we all gotten this age verification? Because I think I remember seeing the age verification pop up, and then maybe it went away, and then
Yeah,
and
I
then there.
didn't. I didn't even see it, and I don't even know if you need to do it or if you just need. They have like special subs for where you need to have age verification and stuff like that. So, but one of the reasons that I ask is that I don't know how well if uh, well, like, what is the point of DIDs and trust spanning protocol and stuff? And where are the real use cases for it? And would a messaging system built with that, which could functionally replace Discord, be a use case for that? Would that be a demonstration of the technology and a way to get DIDs into more people's hands? Do we eat
That
our,
kills it.
huh?
Somebody builds it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I mean, even before you build it, you have to talk about how you would build it and why you would build it and
Yeah.
stuff like that, right?
Hmm.
And would that be a place for trust spanning protocol to advertise its capabilities and opportunities? Anyway, that's just me very much daydreaming about
Hmm.
it and
Yeah.
catching on to current currents in the world right now with the age verification stuff.
Hmm. Yeah. But how would that solve age verification?
Yeah, I don't think it would. Or yeah, no, it doesn't address that, but it does address an alternative to
For this
uh
person?
who gets to ask for it and control the data. And
Hmm.
did you see there was a funny one, somebody on LinkedIn was like, you can either send an age verification via photo, or you can authorize us to look in all the leaked documents on the internet and we'll find your age and verify it there.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
the banking acts and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So, well, let's maybe get back to Mackie. Mackie, what are our next steps for what you're thinking?
Yeah, so you know what? Let me again bring the strategy document, and then we can really see which ones are most relevant at this stage. I think, when we discussed a few weeks back, we said like let's start with what's available now, and I think TSP was the starting point, but maybe there are some other activities we can start planning in parallel. So just let me share my screen.
So just how are we linking TSP to the ecosystem governance working group?
So our role is going to be basically, like enabling the like the outreach, the educational piece. So I think, I'm not saying like could be part of the trust, bite-sized series, but at least how can we make it more compelling for executives to start looking at it, and so I think maybe this could be one of the areas, like
Right.
how can we like really start preparing some content that could get people interested in it. I think the technical specification could be I would say a bit complex to
Yep.
comprehend.
Right.
So how can we uh,
Right, because we
yeah.
talked about having Wenjing and that group come and present to us, but then we also said that they did present at the 5-year anniversary session. And I went back and I looked at that recording, and Wenjing does a demo of the trust planning protocol, but yeah, it's code. And so, do we have anything other than code, meaning being applied to some sort of product or service or use case?
Well, I
Yeah,
think
I think
that's the
oh, go
point,
ahead.
maybe, right? So we have
Yeah.
the code side, but if you're going to be truly decentralized, you're going to have some form of governance. So we know the code works, right? But I think maybe what Mackie's getting at, I mean, I'm not going to speak for Mackie, but we did speak before about it, is filling in the blank, at least what's the governance side,
Right, the minimal viable governance
right?
that is broad enough to apply to every use case, because I mean governance is so.
Doesn't have to be every, but we can say we at least within an ecosystem, like how do you become a member of an ecosystem? Like, I mean, we should try to stick within our lane of ecosystems and governance.
Yeah.
So I think the TSP and MCP and A2A, all that stuff. I mean, it's
Mhm.
all quite relevant. We could fill in that side of the, I
Uh,
guess, how are you going to govern it? It's one thing to get the code to work. I mean, we always lead with code, right? We just want to see if it works first. And then once it works, you go, okay, how are we going to manage it now? So I think that's maybe the opportunity.
Mhm.
I don't think we should be getting too involved in the code, but maybe more the
Right.
how's it governed. And I think so from an ecosystems and governance group, that would be a good reference implementation, perhaps.
Yeah. Okay, so
yeah.
maybe, all right, Mackie, after you present, I put a link in there that we can look through.
Yeah, no, actually, no, I think those are really valid points. And, in terms of what we were thinking, I think, the prototype is also an important piece. Like, how can we get, you know, I think, having some use cases that we can start uh, working. So I think, like at least from, I would say practical standpoint, Winjing has already stress tested the protocol. I think it's up and running. But for us, how can we like really say that this is going, for example, to benefit someone working, like let's say on a retail, someone working on, let's say, like any kind of industry, basically. So how can we get it to the end consumer? How can we get it in a digestible manner for the end consumer? I think the end consumer will not be really interested in terms of how, the mechanics, but what kind of, I would say, like leapfrog this could achieve versus the current, uh, you know, um, uh, communication protocols. So I think for us, the first pillar was really to look for this handshake with the working groups. How can we try and envision some use cases, practical use cases that we can start working with. So they already have, like obviously some at least initial pilots or implementations. But what really matters for us is how can we get, some of those use cases identified, and then, really start building the narrative around it. So, so I think what will be compelling is if we can build some user stories, then start, for example, doing some maybe videos and stuff like that. So.
Mhm, mhm.
So, but I think the first point is to really look with Wenjing, like how he's envisioning TSP, because I think now he's been including the context protocol piece to it, and there's a lot of like I would say updates happening from the symposium to this date.
Yeah.
So I think it will really be good to listen from him and see what he's up to.
Mhm.
Um, I think at this stage, maybe the carry ACDC is out of the door, and it's kind of like I would say at least more mature compared to the other protocols we have in trust over IP. So how can we, I think, the parallel approach, like really work with, like those that are almost out. Plus, like really not ignoring what's happening with TSP. So I think, it really needs some sort of coordination between us. So, I think, for example, now Carly started, like discussing with the team in terms of how this would be an approved specification. She's done a lot of heavy lifting with the Carry Suite working group. So I think she's well positioned to help us in leading that role. I think with like now we have the TSP and the TRQP. So how can we split it amongst us? Uh, like I think if each one of us like really takes one protocol and try to uh, really get out of it with some use cases that we can start thinking
Mhm.
about. I think what will make this easier for everyone, especially we are tight on schedules and a lot of activities happening. So maybe we can at least agree on a template or what kind of governance questions we need to really ask each and
Right.
everyone, and then like have a unified approach when it comes to the outcomes we would want to achieve from this
Mhm.
exercise.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I think
Right.
the next step is really to start building those templates.
Okay.
So the discussion I had with Scott like was really evolving around this basically. How can we
Okay.
organize this process? We're not saying that we are going to lead execution of any of those protocols, but it's more about a way for us to say like those are the minimum requirements or the key principles that each and every protocol would need to meet So
Okay.
he suggested, like the governance meta model document. So he said if we can start, like really building something like that. So basically, the governance metadata document covered a lot of fronts, including, what kind, for example, of terminologies we would want to use, any common terminologies. So also the principles have been covered. So I think it's like maybe a good starting point for us to look at our current documents, uh, what we can take from those in terms of at least the 7 or 8 principles that we can agree each and every protocol will have, and
Mhm.
from there like really start thinking about the key questions we would want to raise across the different protocols. So. So yeah, so maybe I want to hear from you guys, like what's in your mind in terms of driving this activity, and what we can do to execute it seamlessly.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. We need a template, and why not start with a template for for work that's already done. The and so we've got this companion guide. The thing is, the companion guide is 18 pages, right? And I'm wondering if we can get it a little bit more compact and a little bit more, well, digestible, maybe. And because what we're essentially doing is asking questions and saying, all right, you need to figure out the context of your ecosystem, or you need to describe your ecosystem, who's part of it, what kind of information is being shared, what level of security and assurance and things like that do you need, where is it being, what's the jurisdiction? So you're just basically asking a bunch of questions, and then the answers to those questions become the governance framework, right? And I think we just have to go through the process of formulating those questions and see what we can pull out that is common to any ecosystem, which is really hard. But I think we can, give that a shot.
Yeah, 100%. I think, especially like, cross-jurisdictional approaches might resonate with, the different blocks, like, for example, EU and other blocks. So I think, like this could be part of like somewhat a questionnaire that helps us link, with the principles that we'll agree with. But as you said, I think at least security, interoperability, jurisdictional alignment. Those are some of the key elements that would need to be part of any principles-based approach. I think we would take for this exercise. Yeah.
Mackie, can you do us a favor and click on that link in the chat since you're sharing your screen, unless you want me to share my screen, because I'll show you what I did. This is a document that I did about a year ago.
I would like to share.
Yeah, if you could,
Yeah.
or you want me to share? Okay.
Yeah, it's fine. I can share as well if you'd like. Yeah.
Okay, let me share that. Got it here. Okay. All right, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Is it small or big? Can you see it? Is it readable?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Okay. So you remember we went through this process. We said, what is a ecosystem? What are ecosystem components? What are the components that are common to every ecosystem? We never got sign off by trust over IP, but we kind of settled, or at least I did, on these components, which are, you can build it out. Saying, listen, basically you have parties that are sharing data, right? And that happens today. And what we want to do to make it a trustworthy digital ecosystem is to make these parties We want to give them identifiers, and we want those identifiers to be verifiable. And so we want to have verifiable identifiers to establish, who's who in an ecosystem. And we want the information that they share, or at least some of the information they share, the important information, we want that to be good integrity, high integrity data. So we want it to be verifiable. So essentially, we've got verifiable identifiers that are passing verifiable data back and forth. And they're doing this within a governance framework. And they're doing it with some cryptographic trust, either, yeah. So
Just real quick.
Yeah.
Because we haven't looked at this model in a little while,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the decentralized trust graph.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, how does that fit into, I guess the decentralized trust graph is a variation of your trust anchor. Instead of going,
I don't know. I
yeah.
haven't been able to follow the trust graphs work, so I don't know.
Yeah, okay. So if your trust graph, I can't read it on that. Let me look at it on another screen. But that's like your registries and stuff like that, and your
Well, this is the issue. This is the issue that I've got. I'm like, these are trust anchors, and I don't think a registry. I think a registry essentially is this little bracket here that says, listen, you've got verifiable identifiers sharing verifiable data within under a specific governance framework.
Yep.
And you've got so human trust, and then you've got the cryptographic trust. And I kind of call this like a trust sandwich. So the verifiable identifiers are have cryptographic anchors, and the credentials are
Right. Because a trust registry is a collection of identifiers under governance.
Right. And then you've got, and then these trust tasks again, which is confusing because in trust over IP we use a little bit differently. But I mean, this actually is, I would think this is basically verification. It's like, what are you trying? So within this context, what are you trying to verify? And for me, the trust registry is basically this sort of bracket that says, listen, can I extract information in this governed ecosystem, which includes verifiable identifiers and credentials. How can I extract sort of trust and say, listen, I need to peek in there, get the information I need to make a decision, and verify some sort.
The decentralized trust graph then is instead of looking up a registry because a governance authority has put those identifiers in a registry and said, under our governance, they meet these criteria.
Yeah.
And then the decentralized trust graph is instead, Eric trusts that identifier, and he's my friend, so I'll trust that identifier. So it's not a formalized system of governance into a registry. It's reputation through your graph until you stop trusting.
Yeah. Okay. So we'd have to figure out, because essentially I would love to be able to say you've got human trust, and that can include reputation.
Yeah.
Cryptographic trust.
Yeah. Absolutely. Or administrative. I've been calling it in bite-size trust, which I never published. Administrative trust versus cryptographic trust, and the cryptographic is a technical verifiability, and the administrative is just like, how did they manage the trust registry? Or reputation.
Right. So it would be interesting to kind of go back and see if this sticks. But the point that I was trying to make here with Maki's vision is that what I've done is I've taken this and I said, if this is an ecosystem and we're combining the governance and ecosystem working groups, how do we match those up? Well, I said, well, okay, let's say that these are the 6 categories of the governance meta model. And what I've done is I've taken the meta model and I've rearranged it. I haven't deleted anything. I haven't added anything. I've just taken the entire governance meta model and I've rearranged it to see if it can fit in this format. And so this is the introduction, which I said, all right, well, let's just keep it as an introduction. And then I said, well, okay, here's the format. You got context, verifiable parties, verifiable data, governance framework, technical trust anchors. Again, you see I'm not consistent because we haven't settled on that. And then trust tasks. And these are all sections, or headings within the original 5-year-old governance meta model. And I said, does this make sense that we say within context, you have purpose, you have objectives, you have principles, you have scope, right? And then, requirements, I'm not sure that goes there. And then within verifiable parties, we need, governing authority is a party of the ecosystem. They have an identifier that says their rules, sets out the rules and the roles and the rules and obligations and whatever. The administering authority is a verifiable party. I haven't figured out, how to get the other parties in there. But then we've got verifiable data, which is in the original meta model. That's under scope as well. So anyway, I started doing this exercise, and you can read this again. So if you go to the original meta model, this is in the original meta model. It's in a different order. Got purpose, objective, principles, etc. When you get verifiable parties, it says, the primary governed roles. So what are the roles? And each role is a party. The relevant stakeholders, etc. And so I'm wondering if this is a worthwhile exercise or it will lead us astray, or if this might be a way that we can look at an ecosystem and say, how would the trust spanning protocol, work with this? So anyway, just throwing it out there. This was an exercise I was doing to see if we could make it match. Again, I'm not married to this idea, but it was an interesting exercise for me because, again, this is how I think. I say, all right, what's the context? What are we talking about? Who's involved? What kind of data are they sharing? What's the governance and what kind of, because each of these things can change. You can have a variation of verifiable identifiers. You can say, we're going to use MDLs. We're going to use W3C verifiable credentials. We're going to use X509 certificates that are, and each of those kind of verifiable identifiers informs what kind of governance you're going to have, or at least a portion of the governance, and what kind of cryptographic, anchoring you have. X509 certificates have, cryptography, but they're governed. That's a huge part of what makes them, et cetera. And then verifiable credentials, what kind of, actually, I got that mixed up. What kind of verifiable credentials, MDLs or W3C verifiable credentials? Are we using DIDs over here? Are we using SEDs? Are we using, whatever? And, so within your context, you make these decisions. And then how are you going to actually, what is that? How does that trust need to be made tangible? Again, are you packaging things up and verifying on a handset within an app? Is it automated? Are agents doing it, et cetera, et cetera? So I'll stop and let you guys see what you think. Again, I don't want to lead us astray. I don't want us to waste time, but I just figured I'd share this.
Yeah, I think it makes sense, like as really one of the starting points. So those are more about, I would say, technical requirements could be, framed as high level technical requirements. So and then like we can really take it into the next level and see what they have, like really I would say met from those high level requirements. But I think what we were trying to do is to have also the principles. So what are the must-haves for any protocol for it to be acceptable on a global basis? So I think those two, sets are important. So I think this could help us start covering the kind of technical aspects. So in a very high level, without necessarily like digging deeper into the specifics of each protocol. So I think it will be good to have it as a checklist and like what was covered and what's not. I think we will need to expand it to
Hmm.
include like maybe other parties or uh, if there's anything related to the infrastructure that we need to also look at, on a custom basis. Like each protocol might have its own, infrastructure requirements. So I think those could be then, like emerge from this one. But I think it's a really good start to at least see how those pieces are assembled per protocol, and then, start having any customizations required.
Hmm. Do you want to
just
take? Go ahead.
just one thing is, in my own opinion, for whatever it's worth,
Mhm.
I don't think we should mention any technologies. So like blockchain, ledger, database, there should be no mention of any technology, because as soon as we do that and something's wrong with that technology, then we go down the toilet with it. So we should be incredibly agnostic. And if TSP thinks it fits the governance model because it satisfies the requirements of the governance model, then great. But it's not for us to say you have to use TSP or you have to use TRQ or you have to use ABCD,
All right.
because then we go out with the bathwater, right?
But
I
I
think
think
we have to
the
be
point
a
is,
much higher level of abstraction.
But we
but I
could
think the whole
put a
point is,
list.
huh?
We could say, we could be totally abstracted, and then we can say, from trust over IP, here are some things that fit in those categories if you're looking for examples.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
you could say a reference implementation such as ACDC, right?
Yeah.
But not say you need ACDC to
Yes,
be
100%.
have proper
100%.
governance. You could do it
well,
with a piece of paper and a pencil. That's okay too.
I thought the whole point was to take a technology such as, or a protocol such as TSP, and fashion a governance model around it,
That,
or governance.
that will be
But
a
my
very, I would say,
just
hectic exercise. Like I think I do agree that it should be a very high level approach because, especially as we are trying to manage through all of those protocols, I think the internal criterion is very important for us to really vet internally. But once we are publishing it to the public, I think those could be like the overarching ones that we communicate if needed, that, we have made sure that those have been covered without, like referring to any, I would say, specific technology like blockchain and what's not. Like I do agree that we need to be very agnostic, but when it comes to our internal analysis of each and every protocol, I think we might need to get deeper to understand. If it makes sense in terms of a tact and well-connected structure. But I think the
right.
external message
Yeah,
should
sorry,
always
but
be, yeah.
yeah. So I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong in saying the requirement is this is the requirement, right? So if you were to reverse engineer the governance out of carry ACDC, TSP, whatever you want to call it, that's great. Let's reverse engineer it, but make it abstract this much higher than the technology. So it's possible you could say the requirement is key rotation. You don't have to say how to do it, right? The fact is, okay, carry addresses key rotation, but don't say carry, right? Let carry say,
Eric,
oh, we
Yeah.
feed.
Eric,
We
your
see
calendars are on the screen, which is okay, but it's
I'm trying
recorded
to
and
say
published on
I'm
YouTube.
sorry.
Everybody knows Eric has a Tuesday meeting now.
Sorry, I'm trying. I'm
so much
sorry.
for governance.
I've got
Anyway,
so
my
many.
point is not to it's okay to make the requirement that you know very well it can't be satisfied using, I don't know, LDAP, whatever. Like it's okay to say the requirement, and then someone says, well, we use paper and pen, and you say, does anybody else have access to the paper and pen? They go, yeah, it's in the front office in the first drawer and it's unlocked. So you go, okay, so you don't meet the requirement, right? But
Mhm.
I'm saying we could develop the requirements by reverse engineering the technology. So what problem does carry solve? And then say that in the form of the requirements that we need in governance, but don't say it's ACDC.
So, okay. And then for that, as I've been learning a lot about Carrie as I work through Bite Size Trust videos. It's stuff like duplicity detection. So the DID specification does not enforce duplicity detection, but Carrie accomplishes it. And
So now make that exactly one of our requirements. So we know very well the answer, right? It's like we don't ask a question unless you know the answer. So we know the answer because Sam Smith figured it out for us. So whatever problems he's trying to solve, we can make that the requirement, but we don't have to say it's ACDC. And ACDC could say we implement this meta model or this framework because we satisfy all those requirements, and let anybody else, let someone from X509 community come in and say, oh, we could do it too. Okay.
Yeah. Well, did WebVH covers duplicity detection? Because they do exactly what Sam did.
Good.
Yeah. And a blockchain version would also do duplicity detection. But yeah, there because I've been disappointed by
Right. So there's like I'm saying, we could reverse engineer our work based upon others, but not say that's the answer. That's all I'm saying, because if you actually had an ecosystem running within your governance framework and was built on, I don't know what technologies underlying, and then that technology got hacked, and now everybody says, "Oh no, we can't use it anymore." Then what happens to your ecosystem? You're going to say, "Oh well, let's disband, and we'll meet again tomorrow using the flavor of the week is ACDC." Right? We want the governance to live on forever and to always be it. That's my idea of it. Right? It's always a higher level abstraction. The governance only gets better and better and better as we learn more and more and more. The technology underneath could get swapped like underwear, which happens in our with our technology.
But again, I'm missing something, because I just don't know how we're going to do this if the whole point is to say, we are saying trust spanning protocol is a technology. I just don't know.
I don't think that's for us to say.
I thought that's the whole exercise. This is not the exercise?
No, it is how the TSP, for example, is going to enable some use cases. So at some point, like maybe Winjing will have to tell us like how it integrates with, for example, like any front end technologies. Even if that's going to be like the communication layer. So because when we think about something digestible by consumers, we have to really connect it with some real world use cases. So I think it's taking it to another level. So might need a lot of like really brainstorming with him to see how we can help him connect with like potential technologies. We're not aware yet about what those are going to be, but I think we're trying to get it to a very I would say basic level for any type of audiences to really understand its impact.
Right. So this is more use case than.
Yes.
Okay. Because what you're talking about is basically, because what I understand what you're talking about is basically doing the governance meta model again, which is technology agnostic.
Yeah, the governance meta model is going to be the overarching one. But let's say once we need to have some sort of like at least a guidance that we will work with, something unified across the different working groups. So an evolution of the current governance metadata model, plus, for example, we can also look at what you have produced. So, but I think the end goal is to really try to bring some sort of, like practical applications that someone in any industry could resonate with. Because I think, like also what's unique about TSP versus DITCOM, as Carly mentioned.
It's not clear. Not clear.
Yeah, it's not clear.
Yeah. But it might come out. But also, Eric, the governance meta model doesn't say anything about the governance meta model is great, covers a bunch of paperwork stuff, but it doesn't say anything about that you need a way to detect document duplicity. It has no.
Well, but if you're not using DID documents, then
there is no DID no. Detecting duplicity in the first place, like
Right.
there
Okay, well,
there
that's an
are
update. That's the update of the governance model, or
or is it that is it a level of assurance? Because the governance model might say you could do anything, and then we could say, well, if you want a fairly high level of assurance of the quality of your ecosystem, you must make sure that your governance framework includes these kinds of requirements, like the ability to detect did document duplicity
yeah.
and support key pre-rotation. These are best practices, which are supported by Carey and other did
Yeah.
methods, and but not all.
Well, I think what we could do, like you're saying, Eric, I think we take the meta model and we take it to the next level, because when it was written 4 years ago, nobody could spell ACDC,
Mhm.
right? We didn't know what that
You
was,
spotted them the
right?
A and the C.
It was
Yeah,
a
so we
ban.
obviously missed, we need a spell checker, right? So we didn't know. I think what we could do is, given the experience now from the code, that we know how to fill in some blanks that we didn't have before. And then at the next level would be what you're suggesting, Eric, is to say, here's the governance model or a framework for TSP, right? So the analogy would be Carla started with the meta model, all 18 pages when she did Glyph, right?
Mhm.
And then she embedded all the ACDC carry stuff into her governance, right?
Yeah.
And now she has, I don't know how many gigabytes of governance from 18 pages. I mean, she always said she started with 18 pages,
Yeah.
but that's not nearly enough. And I'm sure Scott would be the first one to agree it is not. It's just
Yeah.
something to start with, right? I
Yeah.
think we can do version 2 of the meta model,
Yeah.
be more specific, because we have answers. We're only going to ask questions we have answers to. So
Yeah.
duplicity, so on and
Yeah.
so on. We'll add
Yeah.
that extra. We're going to take it up a notch and tighten the screws on the meta model. And then the reference implementation would be like Glyph did, right? So we could do the model for TSP,
Okay.
right? If we do it for TSP, that means we've also have to have done it already for carry ACDC, because
Yeah.
it's in
Okay.
there.
All
So
right.
it's massive.
Yeah, it is massive. And then what do you think? Because I think part of the issue is that it's just not digestible. And how can we make this 30-page? It's like when back in the old day when you got your VCR and it said, all right, set it up, or maybe not VCR, your stereo. Um, Here's the manual. You figure it out. And then, rather you would read through the manual and say, okay, I'm going to get this down. Or you
Yeah, but
call, can you
you're
set it
going
up
to give
for
Scott a heart attack if you say
me?
make his 18 pages into one page, right? So give everything to Notebook LM and make it really simple.
Well,
I'm not arguing with you. I think, certainly if you've ever looked at Glyph's governance, you would stop right away. You wouldn't even open
right.
up a document. It's massive.
So,
It's just
right.
nuts,
And so
right?
I'm saying, is there a way to say, listen, don't tackle it all at once, tackle this section? Because again, that's again my idea is like, who's in the ecosystem? Every single legal
I
entity in the
agree. I
world?
agree.
Okay.
So let's look at it more like from an iceberg point of view, right? So there's this huge iceberg out there, and we only want to touch the tip right now, because no one's going to come in and say, I have to read this whole thing to decide if I want to use this for my ecosystem, right? So we have to have the outreach part is going to be basically what problems we're solving for ecosystems at a very, very high level,
Yeah.
right? Because like when you open up your stereo or your phone or whatever package, right? You always have the getting started, which is just 3 pictures.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it doesn't go into in depth, analysis of what's behind the
Right.
technology. It's just these 3 things. And if you can't do these 2, 3 things, this is not for you, right?
Yeah.
So I think we could start at that level, because it's a lot easier for everybody to understand.
Yeah.
And it'll also filter out who's really needs this and who really doesn't.
Right. Because I also think that it's like when you do your online taxes, it's like basically you choose, and based on what you choose, you have more options, and based on these options, you have more options, whatever. But you could say, listen, you've got, there's 5 sections, and you can go really deep in each section, but you can also just get a headline
Right,
for each
but there also
section.
could be one question that starts it off: are you a resident of this state? And
Yeah.
if I'm not, I'm not going to fill out this section, right? I
Yeah.
won't go down that rabbit hole. But we could certainly do something like that that attracts people who are considering, what governance could do in this decentralized world of ours.
Right. Because remember, we did talk about this. We said, can we reverse engineer the meta model and say, listen, you answer these questions, and then after answering these questions, we'll spit out a rough draft in the governance meta model structure, and then at least you've got a starting point that you can
Like a wizard?
Huh?
Governance wizard?
Yeah, well, I'm saying that's it, because I mean, again, if you look at the companion guide, it basically it's a bunch of questions, isn't it?
Yeah. Right. That's all it is. Right.
And you could say, if we could like extract some of these questions and say, well, you just give us some essential questions, and anyway, so we got 5 minutes to wrap up. What are our next steps?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting to look at the last one, like in terms of a questionnaire. So I think the questionnaire could take us time to get into the bits and pieces, but at least I think will be a good starting point. Like what kind of key questions they would need to really ensure before like rolling out the spec. So I think one of like this is already being discussed as part of the plan for releasing any spec. I think Carly might have also had a lot of conversations like what are the tick boxes basically, but maybe we can like apply uh, you know um, based on that criteria, like what kind of governance wizard, if Stephen called it, that we can run with each and every protocol before we say that this is, like really, I would say, a good example. So maybe what I can do is like really look in terms of the governance meta model, and then seeing what kind of questions could emerge. So I'll use the existing one plus what you shared, Eric. And then, like we can have some sort of an assessment, like we can call it a governance assessment or governance and ecosystem assessment document. So this will include, those key questions, and maybe, linked to the principles we discussed as well, like the 7 or 8 principles that each and every protocol will need to meet. Then beneath those principles, we're going to have questions to tackle each of these. So yeah. So maybe I can start doing this exercise, and as like a draft starts coming out, we can all like
Okay.
engage and
I mean,
enhance.
while you're speaking, the thought comes to me that we might just do it the other way around and say, where does TSP fit into the governance meta model? And where does trust registry fit into the governance meta model? Anyway.
So we reverse engineer it. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think the only difference that when the meta model was created at that time, we didn't have something coming to fruition. At this stage, I think we have plenty of them ready. So I think we will need to work backwards from what we have now. So I think I'll get in touch with Carly as well to see like the existing documentation and the vetting process that have been applied. It could inform us at least in terms of the key, like elements that we need to ensure are there before making it spec ready. I don't think we'll have to link it to the process because
There's a lot of flexibility there, and a lot of the stuff is like, uh, um, if you have figures, did you label your figures, and did you are you referencing things that don't exist in your spec because after so many edits you lost track? That don't worry about that. I don't think at this time I would have much to add to that conversation. Yeah.
So we're not gonna. So in that case, if it's only cosmetics and nothing material, so I think it wouldn't be a good approach, as you said. Like, but I thought you're doing more deeper work than this. Like it's more about a high level polishing and ensuring that it's ready to go out.
Yeah, there's the high level polishing that's ready to go out, but then there is but I think the requirements that you're talking about are very different from what the technical specs require. So I think we have a lot of flexibility in releasing Like I would never expect the governance meta model to fit into a technical specification spec up T format.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think in that case, like we will start fresh, almost fresh, I think,
Yep.
and in terms of our approach, but we're gonna look in terms of the previous documents as well. So and what we can really bring to the table. So I think, like at least a principles-based approach will be safe for us. As a starting point. I think the technical high levels that Eric discussed today as well would feed into those essentially. So I'll see what I can do, and then perhaps in our next touch point we can start looking at something a draft.
Okay. All right. Excellent.
There's no
All right.
AI today, right?
No AI today?
It's not
No,
that.
I think
No.
yesterday Wenjing put in Discord that he's going to cancel. I think he's at a conference
Oh, right.
again.
No AI today. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
All right.
There will be a meeting summary though. You can read it later on the Linux Foundation's backend thingy.
All right. Can you cut out my
Okay.
email, please?
Okay.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thanks.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.